Hello and welcome. I am No Coffee, No Life. Today we're going to let the Nukashine pick our site. I'm going to give it 3 tries, and hopefully within those 3 tries, I'll find somewhere that I feel a little motivated to build, because it's been a little slow in Fallout 76, if you guys haven't noticed. And here goes try number 1. Let's see where the Nukashine takes us for number 1. And where is it? Oh, look, it's the Skyrim Easter egg. I don't think I want to build here. I mean, they haven't gotten us Elder Scrolls 6, and this $20 Skyrim update is a joke, so let's go somewhere else. Let's try for number 2. Let's see where it takes us for the second go. Where will the Nukashine take us? Well, I would like to build here at a Red Rocket, but I can't because it's flat woods and it won't let me. So we're gonna have to see what number 3 gives us. Let's take another Nukashine and go from there. Let's see. Where are we gonna show up? Oh, hey, it's a tree in the mire. I think I can do this. I don't know. Let's take a look. Let's see what we got to work with. I'm gonna put my camp module up in the tree, and let's saunter on down and see what's at the water line. And this place is quite cluttered. If you've never been here, it's got boating paraphernalia everywhere, and it already was somebody's home, clearly, before they drank one too many Nukashines. So I think I'm gonna try to build a floating home, like a boathouse, but not really obviously a boat. It's just gonna be some floating platforms in the water, and I am going to do something that I haven't done before. I'm going to build slightly larger because I can break it up into platforms, and I'm going to make it as if a family lives here, which is a frightening concept in the wasteland and during the holiday season. To set up your platforms, you're going to place a foundation at the bottom, the actual bottom underneath the water, what constitutes the ground, and then you're going to snap a stair onto it and then begin building your platforms as you see fit, however that may be. The thought of having a family in a post-apocalyptic wasteland is kind of frightening if you think about it. We're going to make this platform, and this will be the first, and I can only build so high underneath this tree because it'll start giving me error messages and not letting me build higher. Though it's not because of the roots. Those don't really affect me when I'm building. It's the tree itself and those cargo containers that are sitting up there that form the base of that platform that's right above this platform. The nice thing about this location is that there's a bunch of junk floating in the water. So if you position your platforms above that junk, like you just saw it in the shot, there was some barrels floating, it'll look like it's being supported by barrels and other objects in the water already. So because we have only so much height to play with, these 2 front pieces are going to have to be flat roofs, and the back I can put slightly higher roofs. So we're going to continue closing everything off on this initial platform. I didn't see any mobs really here. I think we're too far out in the water for them to really bother us. Every now and then I would hear gunshots, but nobody would really attack me while I was building. So in that regard, this is a pretty safe, quiet place to build. I mean, other than somebody drinking some Nukashine and showing up at your front door, like an uninvited holiday guest. That would be a bit of a problem. But beyond that, not really a problem. But you're not really gonna be happy they showed up or be harassed while you build here. So we have the basic shape of this first platform. I love how these vines clip into structures that you build. It just makes it look even more like this structure has been here for quite some time, which is great. And so that's the general shape of platform number 1. We're going to expand out from it and see where the site takes us, because it's always a little tricky building here. You're going to have to stay above the water for the most part. Once anything dips down in there, it starts giving you the error message that you can't build in the water. Really, the only thing that you can do is put that initial foundation, then a stair up, and that will let you build things like this in water. We're going to fix this entryway. We're going to make these walls solid, and then we're going to burn them so that it's like a little porch here that's right at the start, right where this little path going up the tree starts. And we'll add some additional flooring. Let's see what we've got. We've got a lot of space here to play with. It doesn't look like it, but there is space above the water. You just have to think about where you want your little paths to go from site to site from these platforms. And I'm going to work my way around these trees and other things floating in the space. This is going to be the second platform, and it's going to be slightly smaller than the first. I want them to be of varying sizes and varying shapes. And I'm going to see how much I can get away with while building these. It's still slow sometimes placing things, and I actually had to move around before I could place that foundation piece. I don't know why. Nothing was really impeding it, and it did let me, once I took a couple of steps forward, it finally let me place it. I'm going to leave that center spot of water open, and I'm going to place one of these bridge pieces here so that it looks like there was a house here at one point, and the mire, basically consumed it, and this is all that's left, this peak for a roof in the water. And the rest of this structure that's floating next to it is going to look like maybe at some point it was part of that house. Not necessarily, or maybe it was pieces of that house cobbled together to make a floating structure. So we're going to place it so that it's aligned with our build. And we're going to move back and start putting parts together. But it's just a simple structure. It's nothing too complicated. Once this junk fence finally places, we'll be able to position it to where I want it to go, and then place another junk wall and continue our path above the water. Get the next piece. This was constant, moving back and forth on this platform just to put down pieces for whatever reason. It's just picky. It's finicky where you can stand. We're going to build our third platform. This one I wanted to have a little bit of an overhang like that, but still have a full roof over it. So I had to burn the roof so that I could fit a flat roof, and then close it in with walls. And then eventually I will repair that roof once I have all the walls in place where I want them to be. So let's get the walls up. They're up now. We'll get the door placed, and there we go. We have everything set up. We'll burn the things we need to. I'm going to put a wall there, and then this is going to be the final floating section of this camp, this miniature water world in the middle of the mire. It's going to be the largest platform out of all of them. Out of all 4 platforms, this is going to be the biggest, or at least feel the biggest. And it's going to live out here, and it was a little tricky because it's almost to the edge of my build area on this side. So I can't really go right because I'll hit the edge. I'm going to close off these 2 sections with these railing pieces from the catwalks. And normally I don't use these. I kind of forget about them, but they're kind of perfect here because they feel like they fit in this nautical water setting, like the protective barriers you'd see on a dock. We're going to place some of these junk fences here because since I've put a half floor to space it out further than it normally would be, I'm going to need the junk fence to serve as part of the wall so that when I place these regular walls, it'll all look right. It'll all fit. Once I have the exterior set up, I'm going to place these roof pieces, and finish closing off the upper area of the roof. And once that's done, I'm going to actually leave some of it open as if it was broken and not fully repaired, or just left open so that they could get a breeze in there. I put a water wheel in the water. There was actually a spot to do that, and I'm feeding power for the most part from building to building using these power pylons, the simple wooden ones, and occasionally some of these smaller power conduits, just in sections of the houses. So we're gonna place our power conduits and connect them all together, and eventually the power will be fully distributed throughout this entire build. And once we've connected it, here's the completed build. It turned out really nice, and when we go and look inside, you're gonna see it actually looks pretty homey for a bunch of shacks floating on the water in the middle of the mire, connected to this tree with all these roots, this overgrowth coming out of it and permeating the interior of these shacks, which is really nice. It's very, very immersive. It feels like it should be here. But let's take a look inside, shall we? So here's the approach to the front of the house, or what we would consider to be the front of the house. And it is pretty clear because, you know, this is a platform floating on the water, and you kind of don't want things cluttering your front area. And see that I've managed to stick a bunch of things inside. This bulky junk fence has made the entrance really nice and cluttered, along with the rest of the stuff I've managed to stick in here. I have a half wall on a half defensive red brick stucco wall sitting there to choke off the entrance to the kitchen and the dining room area. And as you can see, a bunch of people seem to live here, and I've got the curio stuffed with things, which is really neat. And we're gonna go take a look over here at the rest. It's very compact. I've got this shelving filled with stuff. Our cardinal friend is paying a visit, apparently residing here for a little while. I've got stuff on the walls. Pass on through this way and see what's behind the wall. And it's a smaller space. It's a dresser with stuff on it. I've got some more stuff on the walls. And just like the previous times I've shown you a closet, this is somebody's room. This isn't a closet. This is actually somebody's room, maybe a kid's. And it's really small. I guess they needed the space, so, you know, space was carved out from this structure for them to stay in. We're gonna close the door and continue on with our tour of this camp. And we're gonna head back out of this building and move on to the next one. We're going to go into this door on the left. Now these backwoods bungalow doors are actually really nice because their glass or plastic, whatever you want to call it, is reflective. So it kind of blocks your view of the interior partially. And this is the second structure, the inside. This is probably parents. If there are parents actually here, this would be their room. So we're going to step out. It's pretty clear. Not too much clutter. We're going to move on past these workbenches that I've placed on either side here in this corridor, because all space here is at a premium. It's only so much space you have on floating structures, so you have to make use of it. And we have cluttered up this area. This looks like a work area, the extension of it. Extermination is everyone's job. So there's the water wheel in the distance. And we're going to move on to the next floating habitat, which has a tinker's workbench and sofa and filing cabinet, cluttering the exterior. And I have my scavenging dog, robo-dog, up there. And here's the next room. Perhaps a slightly older kid who tinkers with things and has a branch growing through the side. Let's move on to the last floating structure, but not before we pay a visit to our friend who lives in the best toilet in the game. Let's continue on to this last structure. You see, it's very peaceful. It's not noisy at all. No noisy neighbors. And here is the final one, where clearly kids at heart live in here, and it's quite happy. It's a quite happy kids' room for being in the wasteland, and it has a view of the outside, all those spaces, that common area of paths over the water, and that's it. That's the build in its entirety. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. I enjoyed making this build, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. I hope you learned something from it, more importantly. For those of you who celebrate it, happy Thanksgiving. If you like what you see here, then click on that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're aware when new videos release. But until next time, happy building in the wasteland.